The lights of Star Shelter Station flickered as Hyun-woo crawled through the maintenance tunnel. His uniform was dirty, covered in grease and dust. He had been working for 12 hours straight, fixing broken pipes and faulty wiring. Nobody else wanted to work in the lower levels of the station. It was dark, cold, and smelled like chemicals. Hyun-woo did not mind. He liked the quiet. He liked being alone with his tools and his thoughts. People made him uncomfortable. They talked too much and expected him to talk back. Machines were easier. They broke, he fixed them, and they worked again. Simple. He turned a corner in the tunnel and stopped. Something was moving near the waste disposal unit. At first, he thought it was a rat. The station had plenty of those. But then he saw the scales. They were gray and dull, not shiny like metal. The creature was small, about the size of his hand. It was shaking. Hyun-woo moved closer. The creature lifted its head. It had eyes like liquid gold, but they were dim and tired. It tried to crawl away but fell over. Its wings were too weak to fold properly. It made a soft sound, like a kitten crying. "What are you?" Hyun-woo whispered. He knew what it was. Everyone in the galaxy knew about dragons. The Draconics were once powerful and feared. But then the plague came. Their whole planet died. Now, if anyone saw a dragon, they killed it. They said dragons carried death in their blood. This little dragon did not look dangerous. It looked like it was dying. Hyun-woo took off his jacket and wrapped it around the creature. It did not fight. It was too weak. He picked it up carefully and felt how light it was. Too light. It was starving. He should have left it there. He should have called security. That was the rule. But Hyun-woo looked at those golden eyes again, and he could not do it. He carried the dragon back to his quarters. His room was small and cheap, located in the worst part of the station. The walls were thin, and the heating barely worked. But it was private. Nobody bothered him here. He laid the dragon on his bed and searched his computer for information. Dragons needed special minerals to survive. The minerals were expensive. Very expensive. Hyun-woo looked at his bank account and felt his stomach drop. He had been saving money to buy a ticket off the station. He wanted to go to Earth someday, to see the planet his parents came from. The dragon made that crying sound again. Hyun-woo closed his eyes and made his decision. He ordered the minerals. All of his savings disappeared in one transaction. The next morning, Hyun-woo went to work like normal. But word spread fast on Star Shelter. Someone had seen him carrying something wrapped in his jacket. By lunchtime, security came to his door. The officer was a Velcron, a tall alien with 4 arms and gray skin. He looked angry. "We received reports. You have an illegal organism. I have a pet." Hyun-woo said calmly. "That thing is a plague bearer. It must be destroyed. He is clean. I checked. No disease." The officer pushed past him into the room. The dragon was sleeping on the bed, curled up in a ball. It looked even smaller in the daylight from the window. "That is a Draconics," the officer said. His voice was full of disgust. "They are forbidden on this station. There is no law against owning one," Hyun-woo said. He had checked, carefully. "They are endangered, not illegal." The officer's face turned darker. "You paid the disposal fee?" "Yes." "He is registered as my property. Here is the documentation." The officer looked at the papers on Hyun-woo's tablet. He was not happy, but everything was legal. "You are a fool. That thing will bring you nothing but trouble." After the officer left, Hyun-woo sat on the floor next to his bed. The dragon opened one eye and looked at him. Hyun-woo reached out slowly and touched the gray scales. They were warm. "I will call you Taeyang," he said softly. "It means son, even if you do not look like one right now." The dragon closed his eye and went back to sleep. The trouble started immediately. When Hyun-woo went to the cafeteria, people moved away from him. They whispered and pointed. The woman who usually sold him food refused to serve him. "I will not help someone who keeps a monster," she said. His supervisor, Daesung, called him into the office. Daesung was an older man, with gray hair and a tired face. He had always been fair to Hyun-woo. "What are you thinking?" Daesung asked. He sounded more concerned than angry. "I am thinking I could not let him die." "It, not him. It is a dragon." "He," Hyun-woo said firmly. "And his name is Tae-young." Daesung rubbed his face with both hands. "You know what they will do to you. The other workers. The merchants. Everyone is afraid. Let them be afraid. I am not hurting anyone. Listen to me. I have seen this before. Fear makes people do terrible things. You need to be careful." Hyun-woo nodded. He appreciated the warning. That night, someone painted words on his door. "Monster Lover" and "Deathbringer" in red paint. Hyun-woo cleaned it off without emotion. He had expected worse. Inside his room, Tae-young was trying to eat the minerals. He was clumsy and kept dropping them. Hyun-woo crushed them into smaller pieces and mixed them with water. The dragon drank slowly. Some color returned to his scales. Not much, but a little. Hyun-woo smiled. It was a small victory. He did not care what others thought. He had made his choice. He would protect this small, unwanted creature, even if the whole galaxy told him he was wrong. Outside his window, Star Shelter Station continued its endless rotation. Millions of beings, living, working, and trading. None of them knew that in this tiny room, something important had just begun. A human and a dragon. A bond that should not exist. A friendship that would change everything. 3 months had passed since Hyun-woo found Tae-young. The small dragon was still alive, which surprised everyone. Most people had expected it to die within days. He refused to give up, and Hyun-woo refused to let him go. Life on Star Shelter had become harder. Hyun-woo worked 3 shifts every day to afford the minerals Tae-young needed. He barely slept. His eyes had dark circles under them, and he had lost weight, but every time he came home and saw Tae-young waiting for him, the exhaustion felt worth it. Tae-young had grown a little. He was now the size of a large cat. His wings were stronger, and he could glide short distances across the room. His scales were still gray, but Hyun-woo noticed something strange. Sometimes, in certain lights, they seemed to shimmer. Just for a moment. The strangest thing happened one night when Hyun-woo came home from work. He was thinking about how tired he was, and suddenly, he felt a wave of concern. It was not his own feeling. It came from somewhere else. He looked at Tae-young, and the dragon was staring at him with those golden eyes. "Are you reading my mind?" Hyun-woo asked out loud. He felt another emotion. Curiosity. Warmth. It was definitely coming from Tae-young. Hyun-woo sat down slowly. He had read about this in old texts. Dragons could bond with other beings. But the books said they only bonded with their own kind, or with species they considered worthy. Humans were never mentioned. Humans were too simple, too short-lived. Yet here they were, connected somehow. The next day, Hyun-woo met Minji. She was a xenobiologist who worked in the research section of the station. She had short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She was the one who had reported him to security 3 months ago. "I need to talk to you," she said, blocking his path in the corridor. "I have nothing to say." "I think you do. I have been watching. That dragon should be dead. The minerals alone are not enough. Draconics need more than food. They need connection. Energy exchange." Hyun-woo stopped walking. "What do you mean? Come to my lab, tonight. Bring the dragon. I promise I will not hurt him. I just want to understand." Hyun-woo did not trust easily. But something in Minji's voice sounded genuine. That night, he smuggled Tae-young through the maintenance tunnels to her lab. It was risky. If security caught him with the dragon outside his quarters, they could take Tae-young away. Minji's lab was filled with equipment and screens. She scanned Taeyang carefully, while Hyun-woo held him. The dragon was nervous, but he trusted Hyun-woo. "This is impossible," Minji said, staring at her screen. "He is bonded to you. A full telepathic bond. This has never been documented between a human and a draconics. Is it dangerous? I do not know. Maybe. But look at this." She showed him a display. "His energy signature is unique. Most dragons radiate energy. He absorbs it. Those gray scales are not a defect. They are an adaptation. He is storing power." Hyun-woo looked at Taeyang with new understanding. "Storing it for what? I have no idea. But I want to help you. Both of you." From that day on, Minji became their ally. She helped Hyun-woo find cheaper sources of minerals. She taught him how to care for Taeyang properly. And she kept their secret. But not everyone was kind. Daesung called Hyun-woo into his office again. The older man looked uncomfortable. "I have to reassign you," Daesung said. "I do not want to, but I have no choice. Too many complaints." "Where?" "The deep core maintenance. The radiation sections." Hyun-woo felt cold. The deep core was the most dangerous area on the station. The radiation levels were high. Most workers refused to go there. Those who did got paid extra, but many developed health problems later. "I understand," Hyun-woo said quietly. Daesung looked pained. "I will do what I can to protect you. But be careful. There are people who want that dragon dead. They are just waiting for an excuse." The excuse came 2 weeks later. A group of Velcron warriors cornered Hyun-woo in a supply corridor. There were 5 of them, all armed. The leader grabbed Hyun-woo by the shirt. "We are going to solve your dragon problem," the warrior said. Hyun-woo fought back, but he was one human against 5 trained fighters. They beat him until he could barely stand. Then they dragged him toward his quarters. They were going to kill Taeyang. Hyun-woo felt panic rising in his chest. Through the bond, Taeyang felt it too. He felt the dragon's fear, his anger, his determination. When they broke down the door to his room, Taeyang was waiting. The small dragon spread his wings and hissed. The warriors laughed. What could a creature so small do against them? Then alarms started blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. "Pirate raid," someone shouted over the intercom. "All security to Docking Bay 3. Medical wing is in danger. Anyone. Pirate raid. Anyone. Anyone." The warriors hesitated. They were security personnel. They had to respond. They threw Hyun-woo to the ground and ran. Hyun-woo struggled to his feet. Through the bond, he felt Taeyang's urgency. The dragon wanted to go to the docking bay. Hyun-woo did not understand why, but he trusted the feeling. He ran through the corridors, carrying Taeyang against his chest. His ribs hurt from the beating, but he kept moving. They reached the docking bay, just as the pirates were about to breach the medical wing. Hundreds of patients were in cryo-sleep there. If the wing was breached, they would all die. Security was losing. There were too many pirates. The blast doors were failing. Taeyang jumped from Hyun-woo's arms. The small dragon flew toward the medical wing entrance. Everyone stopped and stared. What was a dragon doing here? Then Taeyang did something no one expected. His gray scales began to glow. Brighter. The light was almost blinding. Energy poured out of him, forming a barrier in front of the medical wing doors. The pirates' weapons hit the barrier and bounced off. The dragon held the barrier for 10 minutes, long enough for reinforcements to arrive, long enough to save everyone in the medical wing. When it was over, Taeyang collapsed. Hyun-woo caught him and held him close. The dragon was breathing, hard but alive. The glow faded from his scales. Everyone in the docking bay was silent. They stared at the small gray dragon who had just saved hundreds of lives. Minji pushed through the crowd and knelt beside them. "We need to get him out of here. Now. Before someone decides he is too dangerous to live." But it was already too late. The cameras had recorded everything. By morning, everyone on Star Shelter Station knew what Taeyang could do, and that terrified them even more. The morning after the pirate attack, Hyun-woo woke up to pounding on his door. He opened it to find station security and 2 officials from the Galactic Council. Behind them stood a tall woman with ice-blue eyes. She wore a white coat. A scientist. Hyun-woo Park, one of the officials said. The dragon must be surrendered to council authority. Immediately. No, Hyun-woo said simply. This is not a request. The creature has displayed dangerous capabilities. It must be studied in a proper facility for the safety of all. The woman in the white coat stepped forward. Her name tag read, Dr. Isla Romanov. I assure you, the creature will be well cared for. We simply need to understand its abilities. For science. Hyun-woo looked into her cold eyes and saw no kindness there. He knew what would happen. They would cut Taeyang open. They would run painful tests. They would treat him like an object, not a living being. He saved hundreds of lives yesterday, Hyun-woo said. And this is how you thank him? Dr. Romanov corrected. Through the bond, Hyun-woo felt Taeyang's fear. The dragon was hiding under the bed, listening to everything. Hyun-woo sent back a feeling of protection. Safety. I will not let them take you. I refuse, Hyun-woo said. The official pulled out a data pad. Then, you are under arrest for harboring a dangerous organism. Security. Take him. Before anyone could move, Daesung appeared in the corridor. Wait. I need to speak with Hyun-woo. Official supervisor business. The officials looked annoyed but stepped back. Daesung pulled Hyun-woo into the hallway and spoke quietly. Listen carefully. I have friends. People who owe me favors. There is a shuttle pilot named Bora. She can get you off the station. But you have to move now. Pack only what you can carry. They will arrest you for helping me. Daesung smiled sadly. I am old. I have seen too much of the galaxy's ugliness. Maybe it is time I did something right. Go. Hyun-woo wanted to argue, but there was no time. He went back inside and grabbed his emergency bag. He wrapped Taeyang in a blanket and held him close. The dragon was shaking. We are leaving, Hyun-woo whispered. Trust me. Daesung created a distraction. He started arguing loudly with the officials about proper procedures and worker rights. While they were focused on him, Hyun-woo slipped out through his maintenance access panel. He knew these tunnels better than anyone. He ran through the dark passages, his heart pounding. Alarms started blaring. They had discovered he was gone. Security would lock down all shuttle bays soon. A young woman was waiting at maintenance exit 17. She had short hair dyed bright green and pilot's gear covered in patches from different systems. You must be Hyun-woo. I am Bora. We need to run. 1. Under 1. 1. They raced through the service corridors. Behind them, Hyun-woo could hear security teams searching. Taeyang sent waves of worry through the bond. Hyun-woo tried to stay calm, but fear was overwhelming him. Why are you helping me? He asked Bora, as they ran. Those pirates killed my family 2 years ago. Different raid. Same scum. Your dragon saved people yesterday. That means something to me. They reached the shuttle bay. Bora's ship was small and old, but it looked fast. They climbed aboard, just as security burst into the bay. Stop. Station. Lockdown in effect. Bora launched the ship without clearance. Alarms screamed. Security tried to close the bay doors, but they were too slow. The small shuttle shot out into space. They will send patrol ships after us, Bora said, working the controls frantically. Can you outrun them? Maybe. Hold on. The next hour was chaos. Patrol ships chased them through the asteroid field that surrounded Star Shelter. Bora flew like she was born in space, weaving between rocks, using their mass to block scanner signals. But there were too many ships. They were going to be caught. Then Taeyang crawled out of his blanket. The dragon moved to the window and pressed his small claws against the glass. His scales began to glow again. "What is he doing?" Bora asked. "I do not know." Energy rippled across the hull of their ship. The scanners on the patrol ships suddenly went blind. They could not track them anymore. In the confusion, Bora dived deeper into the asteroid field and hid behind a massive rock. They waited there for 3 hours. Engines powered down, barely breathing. The patrol ships searched, but eventually gave up and left. Bora stared at Taeyang with wide eyes. "That dragon just saved us." Hyunwoo held Taeyang close. The dragon was exhausted again. Using his power took everything out of him. He keeps saving people, and they keep trying to hurt him. "Where do we go now?" Bora asked. "You are a fugitive. Every station in this sector will have your face in their system." Hyunwoo pulled out his datapad. There was one message waiting. From Minji. It had been sent hours ago, before the lockdown. It contained coordinates and a single sentence. "Safe place for the forgotten." "There," Hyunwoo said, showing Bora the coordinates. "That is in uncharted space. There is nothing there. Maybe that is the point." They set course for the coordinates. Behind them, Star Shelter Station grew smaller and smaller in their rear view. Hyunwoo thought about Daesung. The older man had been captured, covering their escape. He had known it would happen and did it anyway. "Some things are worth fighting for," Daesung had told him once. Hyunwoo understood now. Taeyang fell asleep in his lap, exhausted from using his power. Hyunwoo stroked the gray scales gently. They had escaped. But at what cost? He had lost his home, his job, everything he owned. Daesung had been arrested. They were running with no clear destination, but when he looked down at Taeyang's peaceful sleeping face, he knew he would make the same choice again. Every time. Bora set the autopilot and sat back in her chair. "I hope your friend knows what she is doing. If those coordinates lead nowhere, we are going to have a problem. We only have fuel for one more jump." "They will lead somewhere," Hyunwoo said. He had to believe that, because if he was wrong, they were lost in space, with nowhere to go, and a whole galaxy looking for them. The small ship jumped into hyperspace, leaving the civilized sectors behind. They were heading into the unknown, trusting in coordinates from a woman who had once been their enemy. It was crazy. It was desperate. It was their only hope. 3 months of running. 3 months of hiding in empty systems and abandoned outposts. They survived on food rations and hope. Taeyang grew stronger, but Hyunwoo could see the dragon was unhappy. He needed space to fly properly. He needed sunlight. The cramped shuttle was like a cage. Bora had proven to be a good friend. She never complained, even when things were hardest. She taught Hyunwoo how to pilot, how to repair the ship with limited tools. They became a small family. The human, the pilot, and the dragon nobody wanted. Finally, they reached the coordinates Minji had sent. At first, there was nothing. Just empty space and rocks. Bora checked her scanners 3 times. "There is nothing here. We came all this way for nothing." Then Taeyang lifted his head. Through the bond, Hyunwoo felt recognition. The dragon knew this place somehow. He moved to the window and made a sound. Not scared. Excited. "Wait," Hyunwoo said. "Go closer to that large asteroid." Bora flew closer. As they approached, the asteroid seemed to shimmer. Then suddenly, they could see it. A whole community built into the rock. Buildings. Lights. Ships docked in hidden bays. It had been there all along, just hidden by technology. A voice came over their communication system. "Identify yourself. My name is Bora. I have passengers. We were given these coordinates by someone named Minji." Silence. Then, "Land in Bay 7. We will meet you there." The bay was large and busy. People of dozens of species were working, loading cargo, repairing ships, living their lives. But these were not ordinary citizens. Hyunwoo could tell. These were people who had nowhere else to go. A woman was waiting for them at the landing platform. She was human, with gray hair tied back and eyes that had seen too much pain. Her face was scarred, but her smile was warm. Welcome to Haven's Edge. I am Ji-won. I founded this place 30 years ago, after I escaped a mining prison. Why did Minji send us here? Hyunwoo asked. Ji-won looked at Taeyang, who was peeking out from the blanket. Because this is a place for those the galaxy wants to forget. Come. I will show you. She led them through the colony. Everywhere Hyunwoo looked, he saw refugees, former slaves, criminals who had escaped unjust laws, families fleeing war, people of all kinds who needed a second chance. We have rules here, Ji-won explained. No violence. Everyone works. Everyone contributes. We do not ask about your past. We only care about what you do here. They met Kang Min in the medical center. He was a doctor with kind eyes and gentle hands. When he saw Taeyang, he stopped walking. A draconics. I thought they were all gone. You know about dragons? Hyunwoo asked carefully. I treated survivors. After the war, the plague was a lie. Kang Min looked sad. The council wanted the draconics homeworld. It had resources, rare minerals. When the dragons refused to surrender, the council released a weapon. A biological attack. They blamed it on natural plague, but I saw the evidence. I spoke out. They tried to silence me, so I ran. Hyunwoo felt sick. So Taeyang's people were murdered. Not sick. Yes. I am sorry. The galaxy believes the lie because it is easier than facing the truth. That night, Ji-won gave them quarters, real rooms with real beds. It was the first time in months they had slept somewhere safe. Taeyang explored every corner, his tail swishing with joy. Through the bond, Hyunwoo felt the dragon's happiness. It made his chest warm. Over the next 6 months, they built a life at Haven's Edge. Hyunwoo used his engineering skills to improve the colony's systems. Better water recycling. More efficient power generators. The people appreciated his work. They treated him with respect. Bora became a transport pilot for the colony. She flew supply runs to hidden trading posts. She was good at it. She was happy. And Taeyang grew. Without fear or hiding, the dragon flourished. He reached the size of a small car. His wings were powerful now. He could fly through the open spaces inside the asteroid. His scales remained gray, but they shimmered constantly now, absorbing energy from everything around him. The bond between Hyunwoo and Taeyang deepened. One day, Hyunwoo heard words in his mind. Not feelings. Actual words. Why did you save me when everyone said I was worthless? Hyunwoo almost dropped the tool he was holding. Taeyang, you can speak? Yes. I have been learning. Listening to your thoughts. Why, Hyunwoo? Why did you choose me? Hyunwoo sat down and looked at his friend, his dragon, his family. Because you needed help. And because leaving you would have been wrong. It was that simple. Simple for you. You lost everything. I lost things, but I found something better. I found you. I found purpose. The dragon's golden eyes seemed to glow brighter. The galaxy is wrong about many things. About my people. About worth. About who deserves to live. You showed me that. Their peaceful life lasted 8 months. Then, the scouts reported ships approaching Haven's Edge. Military ships. Council ships. Ji-won called an emergency meeting. The whole colony gathered. They found us. Counselor Vekhan is leading the fleet. Someone sold us out. Murmurs of fear ran through the crowd. Vekhan was known for his cruelty. He was the one who had been hunting Hyunwoo and Taeyang across the galaxy. We should surrender them, someone shouted. Give them the human and the dragon. Maybe they will leave the rest of us alone. No, Jiwan said firmly. We do not abandon our own. Ever. That is our only rule that matters. Then we are all dead. Another voice called out. Hyunwoo stood up. I will go. Taeyang and I will surrender. You do not have to die for us. Sit down, Jiwan said. Not angry, just certain. We vote. That is our way. All in favor of fighting? Hands went up. Slowly at first, then more and more. Even the people who had argued for surrender raised their hands, because they all knew the truth. If they gave up now, they stood for nothing. They were better than the council. They had to be. Then we fight, Jiwan said. Prepare everything we have. That night, Hyunwoo stood with Taeyang on a platform overlooking the colony. The dragon was huge now, magnificent despite his gray scales. They watched the people preparing for battle. Modified mining equipment. Civilian ships armed with whatever weapons they could find. It was not enough. Not against a military fleet. They will die for us, Taeyang said in his mind. These people who barely know us. They are not dying for us, Hyunwoo replied. They are fighting for what is right. There is a difference. A common. I will not let them die. What do you mean? But Taeyang did not answer. He just looked up at the stars, his scales shimmering with stored energy. The dragon had a plan. Hyunwoo could feel it through the bond, but Taeyang was keeping the details hidden. The fleet arrived at dawn. Dozens of warships surrounded Haven's Edge. A voice boomed over every communication channel in the colony. Surrender the dragon and the human called Hyunwoo. You have 1 hour. Refuse, and we will destroy your entire colony. We have planet-killer weapons. You cannot win. The colony's defenders moved into position. They were scared, but they did not run. Hyunwoo held Taeyang's face in his hands. Whatever you are planning, be careful. Please. You taught me something important, Taeyang said. You taught me that one person's courage can change everything. Now it is my turn. Before Hyunwoo could stop him, the dragon spread his wings and flew out of the colony's protection, into open space. Alone, Taeyang flew into the darkness between the warships and Haven's Edge. He was alone in space, floating like a gray star. Every weapon on every ship turned toward him. Thousands of guns, missiles, energy cannons, all pointed at one dragon. Hyunwoo watched from the colony, his heart breaking. Through the bond, he could feel Taeyang's fear, but also his determination. The dragon was not running. He was not hiding anymore. Counselor Vekhan's voice came over the communication system. Surrender now, creature. You cannot fight an entire fleet. Taeyang's voice echoed in return. Not just in Hyunwoo's mind, in everyone's mind. Every person on every ship, every soul in the colony. The dragon had learned to project his thoughts to thousands at once. I will not fight you, Taeyang said. I will show you the truth instead. Fire! Vekhan screamed. Energy weapons lit up space. Missiles launched. The firepower could have destroyed a small moon. All of it hit Taeyang at once. Hyunwoo screamed. He felt the impact through the bond. Pain, heat, pressure, but Taeyang did not die. His gray scales began to glow, brighter than the sun. The dragon was absorbing the energy. Every shot, every missile. The power poured into him, and his scales changed, from gray to silver, from dull to brilliant. This was what he had been saving his strength for. This moment, the weapons stopped. The fleet held their fire, shocked by what they were seeing. Then Taeyang shared his memories with everyone. The images flooded into their minds. A tiny, sick dragon abandoned in garbage. Hyunwoo's gentle hands. The kindness of a stranger. The bond forming. The fear and running. The truth about the genocide. But Taeyang did not just share his own story. He shared the memories of his ancestors. The dragon race had a collective memory. Every dragon remembered what came before. They saw the Draconic's homeworld. Beautiful. Peaceful. They saw the Council's demand for surrender. The dragon's refusal. Then the weapon. The virus that was not a virus. The systematic murder of an entire species. Thousands of people saw the truth at once. Not words, not reports. Actual memories. Undeniable. In the fleet, soldiers began to weep. They saw what their government had done. What they had been told to believe. The lie that had justified genocide. On Vekhan's flagship, the crew turned on him. "You knew," the captain said. "You knew the truth, and you hunted them anyway. It was necessary," Vekhan shouted. "They were too powerful, too dangerous. They were innocent," the captain said. She pulled out her weapon. "You are under arrest for war crimes." Vekhan tried to reach the planet killer weapon controls. He would destroy Haven's Edge anyway. Kill everyone rather than face justice. But his own crew stopped him. They tackled him to the ground. In space, Taeyang continued to shine. His silver scales reflected the light of distant stars. He was beautiful. Terrifying. Magnificent. Everything a dragon should be. But he did not attack. He had promised. He would not fight. More voices joined the first. Ship after ship in the fleet refused orders. Soldiers who had believed they were protecting the galaxy now knew they had been tools of murder. Some ships turned and left immediately. Others stayed, but powered down their weapons. At the same time, halfway across the galaxy, Minji released her evidence. She had been working in secret for months. Documents. Recordings. Proof of the Council's crimes. She sent it to every news station, every government, every public forum she could access. The truth exploded across the galaxy like a supernova. Protests erupted on hundreds of worlds. People demanded answers. Justice. How many other species had been destroyed? How many lies had they been told? The Galactic Council tried to control the situation. They released statements. Denials. But it was too late. No one believed them anymore. One human and one dragon had broken their power with the simplest weapon of all. The truth. 2 weeks later, Haven's Edge was safe. The fleet had left. Some ships joined the colony, their crews refusing to serve the Council any longer. Others simply went home, carrying their shame and their knowledge. Hyunwoo stood with Taeyang on the same platform they had stood on before the battle. But everything was different now. The dragon was massive, as large as a small building. His silver scales caught the light beautifully. Other dragons had started to emerge from hiding. Just a few at first. Then more. They came to Haven's Edge. Some were old. Some were hatchlings. But they were alive. The Draconics were not extinct. They had survived. Hidden. Scattered. Afraid. But alive. "We did it," Hyunwoo said softly. "You did it," Taeyang replied, his voice like distant thunder. "You saved me, when no one else would. You showed the galaxy that courage matters more than power." Representatives from dozens of worlds came to Haven's Edge. They wanted to meet the human and the dragon who had changed everything. They offered Hyunwoo wealth, positions of authority, fame. He refused all of it. "I am an engineer," he told them. "I fix things. That is what I want to do." Jiwon smiled at that. She understood. Some people were not meant for power. They were meant for building, creating, making things better. The Galactic Council collapsed under the weight of its crimes. A new government formed. This time, representatives came from species that had been ignored before. Former slaves. Refugees. Those who understood suffering. They wrote new laws. Better laws. Laws that protected the weak instead of empowering the strong. It was not perfect. It would never be perfect. But It was better. Months passed. Haven's Edge grew. What started as a colony of outcasts became a symbol. A place where anyone could start over. Where the forgotten were remembered. Where worth was not measured by power or beauty, but by character. One evening, Hyun-woo sat working on a new water purification system. Taeyang was nearby, teaching young dragons how to fly. Their laughter echoed through the colony. Real laughter. Joy without fear. Bora came to visit. She had become a legend among pilots. The woman who flew a fugitive to freedom. She could have gone anywhere. Done anything. She chose to stay. Do you ever regret it? She asked Hyun-woo. Picking up that sick little dragon in the garbage? Hyun-woo looked around. At the thriving colony. At children playing without knowing what persecution meant. At dragons flying freely. At people from 100 worlds living together in peace. No, he said. Never. That night, Taeyang and Hyun-woo sat together under the artificial stars of Haven's Edge. The dragon's mind touched his. The galaxy sees me as a hero now. They make statues, tell stories, but I remember being small and dying and worthless. I remember when only one person in the entire universe thought I deserved to live. You always deserve to live, Hyun-woo said. The galaxy did not think so. But you did. One human. One decision. It changed everything. Hyun-woo stroked the dragon's silver scales. They were warm and hummed with power. But to him, Taeyang would always be that small, frightened creature wrapped in his jacket. His friend. His family. The universe is big, Hyun-woo said, and most of it is dark and cold. But sometimes, if we are brave enough, we can make a small part of it warm. That is enough. That has to be enough. Taeyang rumbled with contentment. For a species without claws or scales or power, humans are remarkably dangerous. How so? You care. Even when you should not. Even when it costs you everything. You see someone suffering, and you cannot walk away. That is terrifying. And wonderful. And it makes you more powerful than any weapon. Ships came and went from Haven's Edge. Each one carrying the story. The human who saved a dragon. The dragon who saved a galaxy. The bond that should not exist. And in a small workshop, surrounded by tools and parts, Hyun-woo Park continued to fix things. Because that was what he did. He saw what was broken. And he made it work again. He had fixed a dragon once. By accident, he had helped fix a galaxy too. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness have the biggest consequences. Sometimes, one person's refusal to accept cruelty can start a revolution. Sometimes, the most despised creature becomes the most beloved. And sometimes, when everyone tells you that something is worthless, the bravest thing you can do is prove them wrong. Hyun-woo never became famous. History books barely mentioned his name. They talked about the dragon, the battle, the political changes. But Taeyang knew. Every dragon that flew free knew. Every refugee who found safety at Haven's Edge knew. One human had cared when caring was dangerous. He had been kind when kindness seemed foolish. He had been brave when bravery meant losing everything. And that made all the difference.